episode of the Star Wars Minute. It's your daily podcast where we analyze, we scrutinize, and celebrate the rise of Skywalker in single-minute bites. I'm Alex Robinson from alexrobinson.fun.
I'm Pete the Retailer from PeteTheRetailer.fun.
And I'm Crystal Beth from thecrystalbeth.com.
Oh, up in her game.
I was getting out my wallet there for a second. I was like, nope, she's going to do it. She's going to do it.
Well, thanks for returning, Crystal. Happy to have you back.
Happy to be back.
We're talking about minute 73 of The Rise of Skywalker, of course. And minute 73 starts off with Janna, the stormtrooper, asking in disbelief if Rey stole the skimmer. And it ends a minute later with Finn, the stormtrooper, telling Poe with great certainty that he, Poe, is not Leia.
Ouch.
Yeah, Rey steals a boat.
Yeah.
Yeah, jankety looking boat.
Mm-hmm.
How contrived do you think the explanations are that a girl who grew up on a desert planet knows how to operate one of these sea skiffs, custom-built sea skiff, in giant waves? Is the Force just kind of like have carte blanche?
Pretty much, right? Well, I mean, once you get it going, if you can get the motor going, and she is mechanically adept, she spent a lot of time growing up in a junkyard and working with mechanics, and she can easily fix things. We know that. We saw her mechanically gifted kind of tendencies with the Falcon and all that. So assuming that she could find it and get it running, then it's just a matter of pointing it in the right direction, and it does most of the floating. But then the giant waves come along, and that, I think, is with the Force. She's kind of in tune with, the nothing is more the kind of, binds the galaxy together. Nothing is more, like energy field that surrounds us, penetrates us than like the ocean. You know what I mean? That's very much nature, like the natural way of things. And so I'm assuming that she's able to use the Force to help kind of keep her safe on the ocean. But then getting to that point, it's fairly doable.
Yes, I think that the Force had a lot to do with it. I've driven a boat on waves. It's not easy.
No.
It's difficult.
Yeah, and according to the visual dictionary, this craft normally has a crew of 5 people.
Oh my gosh.
So she's really doing the work of
She's doing it.
So
I then would have liked to have seen, like, as soon as she gets to the Death Star, like a hatch opens up and like a guy who was like hanging out in there getting drunk comes out. Is like, what happened? Something like that. One of the crew just was like down below with a bottle of wine. Right.
I forget. Can Force users? Could she sit in the skiff and then use the Force to lift the skiff and just fly to the place? Can a Force user lift themselves up if they're sitting on something?
Oh, right.
Basically turning it into like a flying carpet, basically.
Right. So like if Yoda was in the X-Wing when he pulled it out of the swamp, is that possible?
Yes.
Can a Force wielder wield the Force to lift them and the object they're in up? I think yes.
Yeah. So Rey could have theoretically just gotten in the boat and then lifted up the boat and
and just
floated
floated
it over.
across. Maybe she hadn't tried it yet, though. She didn't know she could do it.
She got there. She said, I didn't even think of that.
Right.
I mean, maybe that's how she got over most of it, and she would have been underwater if she didn't use that at all. But then that would just be boring to watch. Just like hovering over, and then everyone's just watching from the shore like, oh yeah, well, there she goes.
Well, what about if they're all like standing around being like, we could get over there, but we'd have to take a skimmer, but the skimmer, the waves are too rough. We'd have to do it in the morning. And they're like, are you sure? Like, yeah, the skimmer, say something that was like, yeah, but, there's no way you can get a skimmer over that. And then, like, all of a sudden it's like, like E.T. almost. And you see the skimmer kind of floating over their heads, and everybody's like, oh. And Rey on the skimmer.
But then again, she could also, if it's just lifting up the object, like, it could have been just like a garbage pail lid that she's standing on.
Oh,
and she could lift that
just
up
a garbage
and go.
pail, like riding in a garbage pail, just like
Yes. She could have taken one of the.
Could you just pick up her? Sorry, Crystal, go ahead.
Which is Vorback. So imagine then,
right.
they're still doing this. They're
Yeah.
still trying to run, but they're in midair, being floated.
I guess yes.
Just kind of the ET kids are still pedaling on their bikes, even though
Yeah.
they're floating through midair.
Yeah,
think any
I
of the
feel
kids-
like it's. So, sorry, Alex. What?
Do you think at any point the kids stopped pedaling and they started falling and they're like, oh, they got to start pedaling? ET wants them to do some of the work. It's not a free ride here. Or could Ray lift her shoes up? Could she levitate her shoes to the place and then just kind of like, stand there and let like flying, basically.
Right.
Apparently in
Or,
the animated
she can
Clone
lift-
Wars, they show a lot of Jedis levitating and just kind of like Superman style, like floating in the air. But I don't know if that's canon or not.
Well, we saw Luke floating, right, over his rock.
Yeah, we
Yeah.
saw Ray floating
And
too.
Ray floating with her rocks.
Oh, yeah, Ray floating over her rock.
But that's more like a meditative.
Oh, no, wait. Luke wasn't floating, or was he?
Luke was
he floating
hovering.
over his rock? He was.
Yeah,
Right?
Yeah.
just like a little bit.
Yeah.
But those
So
were more
what
like
about that?
meditating, kind of like
You're just
what
being
if
in a trance.
concentrating.
She like
kind of
sat
thing.
and meditated, like, crisscross applesauce, lotus position, and then just like, meow, like
She
sat
just
that way. And just,
Who would make that noise too?
no.
That would be awesome.
There goes Ray. And Finn's like, what? Where's Ray? Where's Ray?
Just like puttering along.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. That's awesome. That's great. That I would watch that all the time.
I am a big fan of giant waves of these types here.
Yeah.
That's one of the few recurring nightmares I have in my life is giant waves crashing and wrecking everything.
Mhm.
And so I enjoy seeing them in movies, maybe for that exact reason, because it's kind of like I can enjoy it without the sheer terror.
The terror.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah, I actually was Googling about the waves, and a man named Brian Tissot, or Tissot, if it's French, wrote an article of did Ray Skywalker ride a monster 260-foot wave? And he did all of the math and science to figure out how high the wave was. Which is so cool. So the first thing you had to figure out was what gravity would be like, because gravity is why waves happen.
Sure.
And with gravity reduced to 20% of what Earth's is, it's lower G, and the waves would move. They would be bigger and moves more slow than on Earth, more slowly, which these are. It's very exciting. And the less gravity means slower waves. And if you go to briantissot.com, you can see this. It's BRIANTISSOT.com. And he said to find the math of the wave, he, with Ray being 5'6", calculated the length of the skimmer to be 20 feet, then calculated the size of the wave as she went up the face using 3 frame grabs by comparing the wave size to the skimmer size. And it says, assuming the angle is 20 degrees and applying a little trigonometry, the average estimated wave size is 260 feet or 79 meters. The largest wave ever surfed on Earth is currently set at 80 feet. Importantly, the size is consistent with what you would expect on a low G planet. So Disney got it right. And
so low G surfing is the future.
yes, that is the future.
Okay.
Low G surfing.
Low G.
But I thought that was really cool. I was like, ooh, fun math.
Yeah.
That is cool.
Yeah, I love it when people apply, we apply our crazy free time for stupid reasons to but I love it when people apply their free time to the movies for, things that they're actually good at.
Mm-hmm.
And like the bird people who are talking about the habitats of the birds in Force Awakens and doing the math on the sides of the waves and this. I like that stuff.
Yeah, me
Everybody
too.
keep doing what you're doing.
Although I will say, according to the Visual Dictionary, the skiff is in fact 33 feet long, not 20 feet as he
Oh.
claims. So
That's pretty close for
So
just
waves a
having
little
the
smaller.
I don't know if that would make the waves
picture
bigger,
of
or
it.
I guess that would make the waves smaller because there would be
Smaller,
less,
right?
Right.
less.
Because the boat is actually
Ugh.
bigger.
I'm not impressed anymore.
Still probably bigger than the biggest Earth wave ever
Yeah.
surfed.
Yeah.
And also, it doesn't this is the only situation where it seems like a low G planet. None of the other people on the planet seem to be responding as if it is a low G.
Mhm.
No.
So anyway, but still cool that he figured that out.
Very. I would like more time on a boat. It made me realize, not me personally right now, but I would like to see more Star Wars happen on a boat. Like a full act of a movie at least would be fun to be on a boat, like on an adventure somewhere. Like
Yeah.
I was trying to think of what we've had that's like that. I mean, like the sail barge, kind of. It's not really a boat, but like
But
a
not
boat
a ship,
floating on
which
water.
is like a boat. You want it actually to be in water
On a
and
real
not
boat.
kind of.
Right.
No, there was a
People
difference.
sick
I
and
mean,
stuff.
Yeah, or it's just like anything. Like I like that open air, people on deck looking out at the ocean and stuff like that.
yeah.
We get close on, like Mandalorian had part of an episode on boats.
Yeah.
With the frog lady, I think.
Right.
Were those episodes, and obviously the holiday special has a moment that is kind of a little bit like a boat when they crash the Y-wing and then just float the other thing on top of it, and you get that massive sea of goo. So it could be goo, could be different colored, water, could be goo, whatever. But I like the idea of just being on a boat and that whole thing. I think we need a Star Wars on a boat.
I love the idea of an ocean that's much more viscous. It's like a. Did you guys ever see
Yeah.
the movie Raggedy Ann and Andy by any chance?
Oh,
No.
yeah, when I was, yeah.
It was this animated movie from the 70s, and it's okay, but there's this one segment where they're in this place where basically it's like an ocean of like candy
Molasses or
and stuff,
something?
and it's like the whole. It's a terrifying sequence in the film, where it's very
Yeah.
disturbing. It's very nightmare-y, where basically the ocean is a giant, syrupy, sugary thing, and it comes. Anyway, I encourage everyone to Google Raggedy Ann and Andy. It'll be the first thing that comes up because it's by far the most iconic thing. But yes, I want to see a goopy, viscous sea.
Right. Like Solaris too, maybe like that kind of wasn't that like a
Oh my gosh, I have seen it. I have seen it and I remember it.
Yeah, it's
yeah.
It was terrifying.
I saw it last when I was a kid, so I don't remember it too
Yeah.
strongly. But I think I probably associate like that coming in around the same time as the holiday special is probably that we were into goopy seas at that
Yeah.
point. And when did the book Solaris come out?
like a character would fall in, but they wouldn't sink because that's how viscous it is. Like it would be like an ant on a or like one of those water skimmers.
Yeah.
Anyway, so it occurred to me that the Death Star crashed here is basically the update on the crashed Star Destroyer imagery that we saw on Jakku.
Yes.
You know what I mean? It's a similar type of, you're taking an iconic Star Wars thing and now you're showing it to us all ruined and in bad repair. And so I think it's always fun to see. But
Yeah, it was in my notes for tomorrow because she
okay.
gets into it and does.
yeah, well, okay, we'll save it then.
But
But
I do, yes.
Poe and Finn
I
get
do-
into a
I-
bit of an argument here about what to do.
Yeah. And again, Finn kind of jumps on. I question this a little bit because he's like, "Oh, she's not herself. You have no idea what she's fighting."
Mm-hmm.
And he's very much like, and then like, it turns out, Finn's like, "Oh, and you do?" And he's like, "Yeah, I do," and Leia does, and he's basically like, "I'm in the Force Club," we're like trying really hard, but then also like. I feel like I want to say it's a failure of the movie, but I feel like we don't really get the feeling that Rey is kind of struggling with this battle that much. You know what I mean? She seems pretty determined just to go ahead and do the right thing the whole time.
Mm-hmm.
she's worried about it because she's gotten a vision of it, but that vision didn't seem to like cause any struggle. She's not like troubled that she never for a second, I think, doubts that she will do the right thing. And I'm, it doesn't seem like she's ever worried about that she's turning to the dark side, other than just like, oh, the lightning came out of her fingers and that kind of freaked her out. But the fact that she's so freaked out about it further kind of cements her like, she is good. She is on the light side. She's not.
I think she is a little freaked out about it. Because there was that whole conversation where she's like, you don't know me, and I had a vision of the throne and all that stuff. So,
but I hear her saying it, but I don't get it from the movie that she's like, I think she is freaked out by it, but not struggling with it. And the way that Finn here is just like, oh, you have no idea what she's fighting. It doesn't seem like she's fighting it. It seems like she's pretty clearly on one side, but then is a little bit worried that she knows that this thing could happen, but not. She's taking all the proper precautions and is not really.
Here's what I think is going on here. Finn is starting to get, unconsciously, he's starting to get a bit resentful of Rey because Finn, as we all established, he wants nothing but to find Rey and make sure she's safe. And he's always looking for her and wanting to be with her. And Rey doesn't really seem to care all that much. She's always wandering off, having her own kind of adventures. And so Finn must be getting kind of mad that he's so devoted to her and she's kind of indifferent to his devotion. And so I can see why but he can't admit that to himself. So he has to, well, if she's not hanging out with me, it must be because it's something very important and very that's the only reason she wouldn't want, she wouldn't want me to come along or whatever. So he has to really, basically has to defend her, because otherwise he just looks like a chump who's waiting around for this, woman who isn't all that interested in him. Anyway, that's my psychological reading on Finn.
I think that suits.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah, I think he's ramped up that way, and then she's, I think, maybe just what she's let out. So maybe it's not. Maybe to the others, it seemed, because they're not watching the movie, they're just talking to Rey.
Yeah.
So maybe he's basing it on what he's experiencing and talking to her.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. She said she was like, she had a vision of a throne, and then she keeps just walking off and talking to walls. Like,
I wish he was more ambivalent about it. I wish he was more unsure rather than being, no, you're like so fiercely pro Rey. I wish it would be more human for him to be like, this is very flaky behavior for her to be doing this. Not cool.
I think that him getting frustrated here is a kind of, I believe this reaction. I actually have it in my notes that this feels like one of the more real emotional dialogues in this movie, where they're like, it really feels like there's stakes behind what they're saying, like big stakes. And I like Finn's passion that he has at this point in time. And whether it's he's deflecting his frustration with Rey onto Poe, I think that it fits well.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, he's definitely projecting something onto him. And also, but Poe's...
I think Poe's being eminently reasonable in this situation. I don't know. That's why he's yelling at him.
We gotta fix the ship.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know how close the ship is to being fixed, whether this is like, okay, in 2 weeks we'll go get her, or this is, we're almost done and it'll just take a couple hours.
It looks like it's half buried underground.
Yeah, it doesn't look like it's in any condition to fly, so maybe Poe is just like, you know what, I've been around enough Jedi to know that she'll be fine.
Right.
She could take care of herself.
So Finn is kind of like a Karen, kind of like at the counter after at the little desk after they already closed the door and the plane is already taxiing on the runway, and he's like, no, you don't understand. Like, I have to be on that flight. It's like, look, what there's nothing we can put you on the next flight as soon as we can. And he's like, no, I have to be on that flight right now. Like,
he should have ran and jumped off the cliff and started trying to swim over.
Ray! Do
you think he knows how to swim? You think the First Order teaches their troopers how to swim? He's not like a water trooper or anything. He's just a regular. He's a janitor. So, or is that just a part of everyone?
No, I can't think of a time that they would do that. That feels like kind of a caring thing. Teach someone how to swim, whereas they just are like, I don't care if you drown. You're a number.
Right.
Unless they need it for like fighting or something.
Plus, I don't think you could swim in those suits. The stormtrooper outfits, they're pretty heavy looking. Unless there's floaty things in them. There could be.
Oh, there you go.
Little air bladders throughout their body. Yeah, like scuba diving. Yeah, that's a good idea. Yeah, I'm guessing Princess Leia. Princess Leia probably knows how to swim. Guessing Luke doesn't know how to swim. Although maybe on Ahch-To he might have had to.
Right.
I don't know.
He did pretty good about staying out of the water.
And I guess once you have the Force, you can just levitate yourself out of the water should you fall into the water.
I don't know. Can you? We didn't resolve that.
Only if he had a garbage can with him.
So are you telling me that
you can find a shell to grab
powerful?
Onto? What's that?
You telling me E.T. is more powerful than Yoda?
How so?
Because E.T. can levitate himself in something.
Yeah, I'm not saying I'm not saying that he shouldn't.
But if you're not saying that Yoda shouldn't.
I'm saying it seems like something Jedi should be able to do.
Okay.
Unless it's something where you need to have some kind of, like, your feet have to be on the ground because you're basically like for leverage.
Pushing, yeah.
One of my friends today was like, "Can Jedi fly?" And I was like, "No." And I was like, "Wait a second." Like I was like, "They can jump really far." I was like, "Is that flying?" And I was like, a Jedi being able to fly doesn't sit well with me for some reason. It seems like too OP, but I mean,
you can, Ocean Pacific because they're surfing.
Yeah, Ocean Pacific. Yeah, the really cool brand from back in the day, specifically.
Specifically.
Yeah, I don't want to picture them flying, but if you can levitate. If you can get a plane out of water, then you should be able to lift your body up and make it travel.
Right. Well, what if it takes could two Jedi lift each other at the same time to fly?
All right.
So like I'm a Jedi, I'm in the X-Wing, Yoda lifts the X-Wing, and then I lift Yoda. What happens? Let's find out.
On the next Star Wars. It's like a Mr. Wizard experiment.
Right, yeah. Air pressure.
I want if they do a story about the founding of the Jedi Order, I want it to be about Jedi trying to answer all these questions, find the limits, like, oh, look, that guy can shoot lightning out of his fingers. Like they're all discovering new superpowers. That would be
throughout, like in the desert, just kind of like getting in touch with themselves, figuring out like, wait, I think I did something. I think.
Are you reading my mind right now? I feel like someone's in my mind right now.
Can you read my mind? Do you know what it is that you do to me?
Like the way Finn is now, how he's like, I think I'm feeling the Force. But yeah, I am. Well, anything else about minute number 73 of Star Wars Episode 9, The Rise of Skywalker?
I want more Star Wars on boats. That was my main thing.
In Star Wars. More boats in Star Wars letters.
More boats in Star Wars letters. Exactly.
Yeah, we see more skiffs than we do boats.
Skiff is fine too if they'd spent more time on it. I feel like we just do a quick.
It has to be on water. That's the.
You want a nice yacht scene.
Yeah.
Yahtzee.
Yahtzee.
All right. Well, did you know that in addition to Star Wars Minute, you probably know by now that we do other podcasts, but I wanted to take a opportunity to remind you, I do a weekly podcast called Godfather Minute, where my brother and I do to The Godfather what we are now doing to The Rise of Skywalker. So actually, Godfather Part 2, we've already done Godfather, so if you're a Godfather fan, check it out. Pete, what is ABCDTOS? Is your mission complete?
We are figuring out what we're going to do, and how we're going to do it.
But you finished all the Star Treks.
We finished all the original series Star Trek episodes in alphabetical order, and we finished the 6 original cast movies in alphabetical order. And now we're looking ahead at the future and just figuring out what we want to do. Yeah. It's a matter of finding the time.
Yeah. Well, Crystal, are you doing any podcasts these days people should know about?
I am guesting on people's podcasts as much as I
nice.
can. So movies by minutes. I actually am starting to have a little bit more free time. So
Don't say that. You're going to get flooded with requests to
reach out, and then I'll let you know if I could do it. I'm notoriously bad at getting back to people, though, so it's it's not great. I'm going to get better at it, though. It's a New Year's resolution, even though it's
There you go.
not a new year yet.
But Fifth Element
Could
Minute.
be.
Fifth Element is still available if people want to check that out, right?
Yes, so I did the Fifth Element, which is this, but with the Fifth Element, minute by minute. And, any chance I get to talk about Star Wars, so listen to Star Wars Minute. Which you are.
There you go.
Star Wars Minute. So she took us out.
Star Wars Minute.